Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. I'm Andy, Weegle Contractor. Today's video we are going to be discussing and showing you how to repair your toilet. One of the last videos I talked about replacing the toilet, but sometimes you just need to do repairs. You got one of those toilets that every 15 minutes you hear it running, the water keeps turning on, it fills back up for like, another 15-20 seconds. It can be very annoying, especially if it's off your bedroom and it keeps doing it all night long. Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to fix that. First thing you need to do is get the parts that you need. There's really two major components that go bad in toilets on a regular basis. There's your flush valve and your flapper. The flapper leaking is usually typically why you'll hear the water keep turning on and off, but the flush valves also do go bad. This kit right here, 20 bucks, and honestly, if you call a plumber to do it, probably costs you 300 bucks. So let me go over and show you how you do this. First thing you need to do is figure out which size flapper you have, because flappers come in 2-inch and they come in 3-inch. The best way to do that is honestly just turn the water off to the toilet, flush it, get as much water as you can by holding the handle down, and then literally measure where the flapper is, and I'll show you how to do that. So I've flushed the toilet, and you can see there's a little bit of water left in there. And what I want to do is I want to measure this pipe right here. To do that, I'm actually going to move the flapper out of my way. It just goes on there with just two little wings. And I'll take it, and I will measure. And you'll see that this pipe measures right around 2 inches. So now on this toilet here, as you can see, this one measures 3 inches. So that's the difference between the two flappers. But the toilet that we're going to be working on today, it takes a 2-inch flapper. So the first thing you want to do is turn off your water supply to the toilet. That would be that valve right down there. Turn it off and then flush the toilet. When you flush the toilet though, hold the handle down until there's no more water running, because that gets the extra water out of the toilet bowl. Now, if you watch my video on replacing a toilet, this liquid lock stuff, I really like it. What you do is you put this in the residual water that's in the tank and it solidifies it. That way you don't have to vacuum out the water, or when you remove the flush valve, it doesn't go running all over the floor on you. You don't have to try to squeeze a bucket under there. And I'll show you how this stuff works. I'll sprinkle the tank and I'll show you what it does. All right, so I sprinkled that liquid lock in the toilet bowl, or the toilet tank, I should say. If I was replacing the toilet, I would put it in the bowl as well. But anyway, as you can see, this is what it does to the water. That way, when you remove your flush valve, it doesn't go running, the water doesn't go running all over the floor. All right, so the first thing we need to do, we'll want to do anyway, you don't need to do it this way, but it's the way I do it. So we got to remove the flapper. This flapper literally just sits on these little posts there. Like I said, this type of flapper sits on the post. There are the ones that actually clip on these little posts too, and those you just pop them up, okay? And then you got to remove this from the handle, the chain. Now, one of the things you want to do with this is the length of this chain is important. You want to make sure that the length of your chain for the new one is the same length, and if not, you need to shorten it up, okay? The next thing we're going to do is remove the flush valve. So one of the things I always do is I always like to put a towel down and get it underneath here, because although there'll be no water, that's the water that crystallized, sometimes the crystals drop down that we don't have to clean up off the floor. But anyway, what we need to do is loosen this. These are typically hand tight. And a little bit of water will come out of this too. It's another reason for putting down the towel. Okay. Now my toilet is a little bit different because I have the bidet. So I am actually gonna have to get a wrench and remove this. But most toilets, unless you have a bidet, you won't have that issue. All right, sorry, I removed my bidet attachment. It's literally something that looks like this. But again, unless you have a bidet, you won't have one of those on your toilet. All right, so there's a nut right here. This is what holds your flush valve in place. These are typically only hand tight. So you loosen it up and remove the nut. Now, all we have to do is remove our flush valve. First thing we need to do is remove this clip from here. This is your water overflow, okay? Then you just lift the flush valve out. Something else here that's very important. You need your new flush valve to be the same length as your old one. You can see they're not. but they're adjustable. Show you how we fix that. Okay, so this is our old one. This is our new one. The new one, this design, and not all the designs are the same. You twist this, and you move it to where it's this, and get them to where they're the same length. Then you twist it back to lock it in place. Then double check to make sure they're the same length. Okay, now before we install this, we also want to make sure we have our washer on there. A lot of them don't come with the washer on there. They come with a washer, and there's actually another washer inside there you have to remove. That would actually go on the hose for the fill, but this one doesn't come with that. So I've got a washer on there. I've got a nut. I'm just going to put it back down inside the same hole that I came out of and put the nut on it. And one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that this is not being blocked by anything, and this is where your water's going to come out. So you want it pointing. You want that water valve pointing in this direction. Okay? All right. So we insert this like this, down in the hole, and then we can just hold that in place while we put the nut on it. All right, put the nut on here. I said it only needs to be hand tight, but you want to get it good and hand tight so you don't have any leaks. All right, and then what you do is you reconnect your water supply right here. I'm not going to reconnect mine right now because I've got to put my bidet attachment back in there. Now, since I'm replacing with the exact same one, I'm going to put I got a new fill tube. As you can see, my fill tubes are not the same length. So I'm going to go cut this one so it's the same length as this one. I don't want to use the old one because you never know if it's just going to wear out. All right, got my fill tube cut, and this is what holds it in the overflow pipe. So you just want to squeeze that in there, okay? Then this here is going to attach to this right here. I'm going to put the phone down and push it on there, but all you got to do is just push it on there. Okay, I got this one here. Now this is where the water comes out. We want the water spraying down inside of here. All right, I want to point out something that's very important. Before you connect your water pipe to the wall, to the toilet, make sure there's a gasket in here. Sometimes that gasket will actually get stuck in the bottom of the old flush valve. You need that gasket. You absolutely have to have that gasket. So now all we gotta do is turn our water back on. You see the water is going in here. And those crystallized water, they'll just flush away. All right, guys, so we got water in here. This is your overflow pipe. You can see the water sitting right below it. You kind of want it a little bit higher than that. This one's adjustable. By the way, most of them are not adjustable. I didn't even realize mine was adjustable, but I adjusted it up so that the water's sitting just below that. And flush the toilet, make sure it works. Well, let me show you what most of those overflow pipes look like. So most of your overflow pipes are going to look like this one. Something solid, and as you can see, the water sits just below it. You want to make sure the water's not going over the top of that overflow pipe, because otherwise it's just going to run constantly and you'll hear it running constantly. If you get your flush valve adjusted to the exact same height, you shouldn't have a problem with that. Now, last thing you need to do, double check for leaks. The best way I found to do that is just run your hand all around here and just check them. Okay, because that's what you replaced. Now, when I do this to our customer, I'll even tell them it's a new plumbing repair. Check it every couple of hours just for the first 4 or 5 hours, whatever. Just make sure it's not leaking. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's helpful. If you decide you just want to replace the flapper because you think that's all it's leaking, go right ahead. Flappers are $5, not a big deal. But anyway, have a great day, guys. Thanks. Bye.